Hey, we're Jig and James from Flawless Films.
In this tutorial we're going to show you some of the real basics of the program Adobe After Effects. If you don't know what this program does, here are just a couple of short examples.
Okay, so there's just a few examples of what After Effects is capable of doing. Alright, okay, we're just going to get the After Effects basics out of the way. It needs to be done. It is going to be pretty boring, so...
But, you know, like any induction lesson, it's just got to be done. You got to learn the little things to make the big things good.
Yeah. We'll try and make it as brief as possible, so here we go. Okay, importing footage.
There's a few different ways of this. The one that we find easiest is just going on your document folder.
Like so.
Like so, and highlighting whichever things you want.
You can take individual videos, or you can obviously choose multiple ones.
Like any basic computer function, you hold down Shift, Control, whichever, just to select whichever ones you need.
And import them. You can double click here, which also brings up your Finder, so you can
do the exact same thing with that.
Yeah. Okay, so.
And as you can see, you can import different kinds of files in, as you can see, QuickTime files, video files, and pictures, JPEGs, all goes into the same area. Within that project area, if you right click, you can select a new folder, which if you work with programs like Final Cut, this is like a bin. So it's basically a way of dividing up your work. So say you'd call these ones videos, and then you maybe make another one called pictures, or whatever, and then you can drag those into it. Click the drop down arrow, so then you can see everything you're doing, and when you don't need them anymore, you can just put them out of the way. So once you've got those in your project file, you're going to want to open up a new composition. There's a couple of ways of doing this.
You can go composition, new composition, or
you can simply just drag the thing you want straight into it, in which case all your settings will be automatic. But then you can also edit this at any point though. So say if you right click on the composition option, which is the thing highlighted, go on to composition settings. Here you can change things, for example, like the frame rate. Like, as this has automatically gone to a 29.97, you can change this to any of these depending on what you're working with or what you would prefer. And then you can also change the duration of your composition, because when you just drag the file in, it goes to the automatic length of that clip.
But if you're working with something, if you know what you're working with, say
an advert,
an 30-second advert, you can make this 30 seconds, and then bam, your composition is now 30 seconds.
Looking in the now composition window, you can see a few different settings at the bottom.
Basically what you click on, 1.5% is going to be very small. This is all common sense stuff really, but you know, we'd be surprised. It needs to be said sometimes.
You'd find them usually the easiest one to click on is, if you go on the menu, is click on the fit up to 100%, because then if you change your composition size window, then the window will also change with that, and it can make life a lot easier than starting to crop off when you don't actually want to. So next to that, you've also got the resolution of how you preview it in your composition. Changing these to lower settings like half, third, quarter are going to make your previews a lot quicker to watch when rendering through. Like, this is running quite quick.
As you can see, obviously the resolution's a lot lower.
But you usually just do this when it comes to working out timings and speed of your video. Just simple things, not
obviously
going
on full resolution, it's a lot slower, as you can see.
Okay, and that's basically all of the composition window. So we'll go on to the timeline.
This little slightly hit thing here, left zooms out, right zooms in, obviously.
When it comes to later more complicated things using keyframes, this is where you're going to want to be a bit more zoomed in sometimes.
Yeah.
So we'll get on to that later.
This is the preview tab. It's quite self-explanatory what they are really. These ones go to your first and last frame. These ones go forward frame by frame. This stuff is very handy when doing anything.
Framework.
Yeah, basically like lightsabers.
In the preview box, when you click on the RAM preview, these boxes below of the resolution do affect it. So for example, on your RAM preview, you can have the resolution at a quarter just to skip through, and then you can still keep the resolution on your composition at full, but then you can also pick your frame rate in your preview, which will not affect the frame rate in your composition. So this again can make it just a bit faster when trying to just quickly scan through what you've done.
Or alternatively, you can skip frames, which will make it a bit sort of jumpy. But, you know, you can skip every other frame, 2 frames, 5 frames, whatever. Just make things a little faster. Okay, basic tools used. This one, of course, is just your, you know, selection tool. You just use it to click things, basically. Moving along, the hand tool, which is used to, if you're zoomed in, for example, it's just used to move around, blah blah. Going in and out, of course, you can use the zoom tool, which just zooms in on areas you click. And you can also use the middle sort of roller on your mouse if you have one, or you can use command, if you're on a Mac, command and the plus sign, and the minus sign zooms in and out. Okay, you can also use shortcuts for all the tools. Will have their own shortcuts. The selection tool is V, so press V, and the selection tool press H. On the hand tool, Z. Oh, and the Z for the zoom tool. There you go. There's 3 tools and 3 shortcuts. All you've got to do to find the shortcut is hold your mouse over, and it says in brackets.
Now we're going to give you an example of some very simple 3D text and keyframing, just to give you a quick example of what we can do. So I'm going to go on composition, new composition, and yeah, that's fine. I'll just change this to 10 seconds just to make life easier. Okay, that's better. And now we are going to go on layer, new text. Type something in, so flawless. I'll go for flawless. This square here,
underneath the little 3D box,
which is for 3D layering. So once you've clicked that,
you can now move any items, whether it be images or text, sort of around in 3D space. So you can move them along the X, Y, or Z axis.
So if you go into your effects and go on to obsolete, click on basic 3D. This is the effects controls come up where your project window is. It's quite basic and self-explanatory, really. So say swivel is move this around, it's going to do a little spin. Shut that back to 0, and tilt is the same but the other way around. So you can do some pretty simple things with that, and the same way here, it's basically going to make it bigger and smaller. Keyframes.
Yay!
Keyframes are quite important in After Effects.
Quite.
So,
can't do a lot that keyframes do.
I know. If you double click on the Basics 3D title by here, it'll turn up in your timeline. So, say for example, we will put, well, if you look at the stopwatches by here, these will start a keyframe. So we will start 2 keyframes for swivel and tilt at the very beginning. Once you've clicked on your keyframes, then we'll go forward to about 2 seconds in, and we will then say change swivel to any random number, which I'm going to pick 58, and then tilt
69, dude.
And tilt okay, and tilt I'm going to pick at 69. Just to the current time indicator. Ooh. And drag it backwards and forward. You can see what's happening. So in those 2 seconds, it's a very nice smooth, as though disappearing into the distance. If you go on your timeline and your work area, you can then bring down your work area to just the time you want. So then when you preview your thing, it'll literally just loop over and over and over.
Until you stop it.
Until you stop it. Okay, so...
Also, if you're working in a specific area, and all you need is what's inside your work area, you can right click on this and trim comp to work area. This is quite a handy thing. And now the length of the composition is just the length of the 2 seconds that we just made. Okay, to move the text around on the screen, we're going to keyframe the position of the text. So if you click the little arrow on transform, you can see the stopwatches for all these different things. If we click position, start the video, so we're on at the very start here. So we keyframe position, and then we move forward to wherever we want the text to be gone. So say right at the end, 2 seconds, and then move the text or image or whatever.
There's a couple of ways of doing this. You can simply just, with your mouse, grab the text and drag it off like so, and it will automatically decide the positioning. Alternatively, if you know a specific point in the composition you want it to go to, you can just type in your numbers here. Okay, so then if I just take this back, then as you can see, it's disappearing off the screen. So yes, that is our very basic tutorial of After Effects, just getting to know a few of the buttons, commands, shortcuts, just to give you a rough idea of what you can achieve with this.
And an extreme simple intro into keyframing. There we go. Flawless Films, all you.